Welcome, everyone. I'm absolutely thrilled you're joining us for today's explainer. We are looking at a story that is equal parts epic, emotional, and honestly, historically staggering. Today, we're diving into Marguerite Henry's classic, Newbery Medal-winning novel, King of the Wind. But we aren't just looking at a beautifully written children's book. We're unraveling the incredible tale of a mute stable boy named Agba and the legendary headstrong stallion that he loved. More importantly, we're going to examine exactly how this young boy managed to tame a colt that the rest of the world had completely written off. Let's get into it. Okay, let's dive right into this. How on earth did a boy who couldn't speak and a horse reduced to pulling a freezing wood cart in Paris create an absolute racing dynasty? It's a journey that takes us from the romanticized, fictionalized pages of Marguerite Henry's novel straight into the staggering historical reality of one of the founding sires of the modern English thoroughbred. We're talking about the famous Godolphin Arabian. Section 1. The Birth of a Legend. To really understand this legacy, we have to start in the sun-baked stables of the Sultan of Morocco, where a mute slave boy named Agba meets a newborn colt. Now notice the two violently conflicting omens in his coat. Down on his hind heel, there's a white spot. That's the emblem of swiftness and incredible good luck. But then, on his chest, there's a whirl of hair shaped like a wheat ear, and that was a grave symbol of misfortune and bad luck. So, right from his very first breath, this little foal is literally marked for both greatness and tragedy. And that tragedy strikes almost immediately. The mother mare dies shortly after giving birth, leaving this newborn foal orphaned and starving. Now, this right here is where the true taming process begins. It doesn't start with ropes or whips, it starts with sheer devotion. Agba literally keeps the colt alive, feeding him camel's milk drop by drop. He names the colt Sham, which means the sun, and pledges that this horse will one day be known as the King of the Wind. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is that Agba's taming of Sham wasn't about breaking a horse's spirit. Not at all. It was about forging an unbreakable bond rooted in survival and, really, maternal love. Section 2. Hardships in a foreign land. As Sham grows into this magnificent, high-spirited Arabian, the Sultan decides to send him, along with Agba, as a royal gift to King Louis XV of France. But wow, the descent into darkness is shockingly fast here. The French court basically takes one look at these exhausted horses and dismisses them entirely for not being lusty enough for racing. It's crazy. From a royal gift, Sham is downgraded to a kitchen horse, and then he's sold off to pull a heavy, icy wood cart in the rough streets of Paris. Eventually, though, in 1729, a kind-hearted Quaker purchases him and brings him to England, which ultimately leads to his arrival at the Earl of Godolphin's estate in 1733. Now, during those really dark days in Paris, the sheer essence of their bond became brilliantly clear. Sham refused, and I mean absolutely refused, to let anyone but Agba hold his reins. Even when Sham was starving, getting beaten, and forced to drag this impossibly heavy wood cart up the freezing Parisian streets, his spirit remained fiercely intact. He was entirely unmanageable for everyone, except, of course, the boy who had fed him that camel's milk. Agba had tamed Sham so thoroughly through love that the horse's loyalty was just absolute, even in the face of terrible physical abuse. Section 3. A boy's unbreakable bond. You see, this loyalty didn't just flow one way from the horse to the boy. It was deeply mutual. Just look at the lengths Agba went to. When Sham was sold to the woodcarter, Agba searched the vast, dangerous streets of Paris until he finally found him. He lived in a freezing shed and offered to load the carter's heavy wood completely for free, just for the right to sleep near his horse. Later on in England, when they were separated yet again, Agba was actually thrown into the notorious Newgate jail. Why? Simply because he was caught sneaking into an inn stable at night to comfort Sham. Agba was mute, sure, but his actions spoke louder than any words ever could. It really is a testament to how far unconditional empathy can take you, even in the absolute bleakest of circumstances. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that this isn't just fiction. This quote right here is a real historical record from the Viscount de Monte, who actually observed the horse in France. Notice the specific phrasing he uses, whose only flaw was being headstrong, broad in spite of being half-starved. I mean, this historical record perfectly aligns with the Shakam of our story. He was a total survivor, a horse of incredible beauty and fiery temper, fiercely loyal to his groom, but completely stubborn with everyone else. Section 4. The Battle for Roxana. So we've finally reached the Earl of Godolphin's beautiful Gog-Magog stables in England, where Sham is, you guessed it, once again dismissed. The Earl's pride and joy is this enormous stallion with the rather unfortunate name of Hobgoblin, who boasts this incredibly exalted pedigree. The Earl brings in a beautiful white mare named Lady Roxana, fully intending for Hobgoblin to sire her foal. Notice the sheer size difference we're talking about here. On one side, you've got the giant Hobgoblin. On the other, Sham, the rejected workhorse, Agba's secret king of the wind. Yet, Lady Roxana doesn't care at all about Hobgoblin's pedigree. She only has eyes for the fiery Arabian. And this is right where Agba's lifelong faith in his horse truly pays off. Refusing to let Sham be disrespected yet again, Agba secretly releases him. He just knew that his gentle, maternal taming over all those years had built an indestructible fire inside the horse. In a ferocious, epic battle of stallions, the much smaller Sham completely dominates the enormous Hobgoblin, claiming Lady Roxana for himself. Agba knew his horse's true strength, and he let him prove it. And as you'll see, this fateful decision leads to the birth of a remarkably swift colt named Leth, which completely altered the course of history. Section 5. Triumph and True Legacy. With the birth of his incredibly swift colt, Laugh, who outruns literally every horse on the estate, the Earl finally realized what he had. Sham was no longer just a workhorse. He was officially titled the Godolphin Arabian, recognized as one of the 3 foundational sires of the modern English thoroughbred racehorse breed. His descendants completely dominated the tracks, won the Queen's purse, repaired the Earl's failing financial fortunes, and permanently cemented the horse's legendary new name in the history books. A real game changer. 90. That is the estimated number of foals sired by the real Godolphin Arabian. I mean, just imagine the sheer genetic scale of that. From pulling a freezing wood cart in Paris to single-handedly altering global racing history, sparking a dynasty that spans centuries. It's honestly mind-blowing. Just look at the absolute giants of the turf mapped out here. We have Laugh, widely considered the best racehorse of his day. There's Caffold, a vastly superior sire, who ensured the male line continued strong. There's Regulus, an undefeated champion who won 7 King's Plates. And further down the line, you get legendary names like Matcham and Eclipse, whose bloodlines completely saturate the modern thoroughbred. Basically, every time you watch a major horse race today, you are watching the direct descendants of the Godolphin Arabian. But don't worry, the story does have a peaceful end. In 1753, at the incredibly advanced age of 29, which, by the way, is a truly surprising testament to how well he was ultimately cared for in that era, the Godolphin Arabian was finally laid to rest. He was given a solemn ceremony and buried under a stone slab at Wandlebury Ring in Cambridgeshire. It was a deeply honored end for a stallion who had endured so much hardship. Which brings us to our final slide, and a provocative question I want to leave you with. Historians actually still debate his exact origins. Was he a royal gift from Morocco? A tribute from Tunisia? Maybe from Yemen? But the undeniable truth is that his blood flows in the champion racehorses of today. Marguerite Henry gave us the beautiful story of Agba to help explain the incredible spirit of this horse. It shows us that the most unbreakable beasts are tamed not by force, but by devotion. So, I have to ask you, where does history end and the legend of the King of the Wind begin? Perhaps they are, and always will be, completely inseparable. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. I hope it sparked your curiosity to learn even more.